Recording. Start streaming. Woohoo! All right, working on a little Mad Hatter piece for some product development. Okay. All right, first time streaming. Welcome to the first show. My name is SeanDietrich. Hi. That guy in the back, he's got a bunch of names. We're in lovely Washington at Dietrich Studios. You can check out my Instagram, SeanDietrich, SeanDietrich Art on Facebook, SeanDietrichArt.com. Check out all the products and prints, original art, all sorts of good stuff. So what I'm working on right now is I have a series of smoke shop products coming out, dab mats and rags and everything from hat pins, glass, all sorts of stuff. So we put out an Alice series to kind of kick it off. You can kind of see here's the first mat for the caterpillar right here. And then I'm working on the Mad Hatter, kind of an oil piece. So he's got a bunch of honey attached to him. And what else? Got the pencils done right now, and I'm going to start inking him. Basically, my process is to lay down the initial pencils, go over it with some Holbein ink. This is a really kick-ass Japanese ink. Let's see if I can put it up in the camera there. And then we will start dropping some color in afterwards. But tonight is my very first stream, so thank you, viewer number 1, for chilling, and we'll get cracking. I'll basically just kind of chime in with some basics about who I am and whatnot. So if people go to the archive and check it out, they can find out. I'm a professional artist for about 13 years now. I've been self-published since I was 15. I put out my first comic book called Tribal Scream about a little boy with an Uzi fighting a cannibal in New York. Seemed like an excellent story to tell. And then from there, I got into my first professional comic gig. All my books are indie books: Industricide, Catalepsy, Fervor, Mess. You can occasionally find them on Amazon or eBay. Someone might be selling a copy of it. And then I actually got into the gaming industry for a very quick minute. I did some work on Twisted Metal for PlayStation. Had to come up with Sweet Tooth the Clown's backstory. Cool project, never came to fruition. You know, powers that be. One studio got into a fight with another or some bullshit, and that was that. And after that, I just started getting into live art. So I started painting behind an industrial band, and then it was a cool way to promote the comic book as well. So I knew a lot of DJs and art promoters in San Diego where I lived at the time. This was like 99, 2000. So I went ahead and, hey, where are you DJing? Great. I'll nail a board to the wall and paint while you spin and sell some comic books. And then fast forward 19 years, and here we are. So just working on a little teacup here. See the Cheshire smiling, the reflection. And yeah, this is Holbein ink. Very, very awesome Japanese ink. I believe the rep said that this was the company that used to create the gouache, I believe, or the animation cell paint for Disney. But it's incredibly opaque, and you can actually toss, 5 seconds after you put it on here, it's almost dry enough for you to just toss water on it. Awesome. And it won't run. You can do washes over top of it. And you don't have to worry about smearing. We should put a microphone on Cinnamon. we have a dog that sounds like a 90-year-old with issues in the studio.
I have almost 40 tunes for you.
Oh, okay, cool. We will be playing some custom music. The gentleman behind me, we have a music project called the Reich and Funk. And if you check my feed, I've actually uploaded all my time lapses that I've done so far. So there's 6 different rolling trays that I did custom painted, and then music was written for it. So I will have all manner of original content as far as music as well to share with everyone. And the pencil gets a little smeary, but no problem. We'll take care of that with an eraser afterwards. I tend to attack a painting pretty messily. Is that a word?
Yep.
It is now. I kind of leave a lot of the elements. I used to leave a lot more of the mess behind, but for reproduction purposes and whatnot, I've cleaned up a little bit, just a little. There we go. And I do kind of jump around the painting as well, so. Haters? Oh,
Hey,
nice.
the president's got haters.
Sugar's reading some stuff about Donald Trump.
What I'm reading is Donald Trump held a press conference at the G7. Here are the 38 wildest things he said. Out of context, they are pretty wild. I'm sure in context some of them might make sense, but you know, it is Politico that I'm reading, so
Oh, okay.
out of context is their thing. He says everyone said, you know, the haters, they say, oh, you're giving him a meeting. Give me a break, okay?
What?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're like underneath each thing, each of the 38 things, Politico has like whatever asshole wrote this, has a comment. And under that one it just says the haters in quotation marks. The president of the United States.
Yeah. Quote of the year. All right. All right. Giving the hatter a nice patchy hat.
38 tunes. Not bad, huh?
I like adding a lot of textures and gives me an ability to put in like a lot of stripes or polka dots, play around with some different color schemes. I like a lot of grit. Not big on the fluffy, cute, lowbrow shit. All right. Got some honeycomb stuck to his head.
Alright, here you go. I don't know if you're able to do this. It's that one.
Ooh, music. I will install that later. Maybe I'll take a break and
I can't remember what the folder is called.
I'll figure it out.
Sure.
Okay. Big pool of honey on his hat. And sometimes I don't really connect all the lines. I'll do just some indications of kind of where I know certain things will be, like the inside of the honeycomb here, and saves a little bit of time as far as not, when I go back at the end and re-outline everything in the black ink. Not everything was covered with paint and sometimes once I throw the color on, it may change as far as where I want that line, or and then it's less stuff to buff out. What else about me? I should probably put a little bit more information out there. Worked with some pretty cool clients too. I got a big mural up at the Facebook corporate headquarters. Rabbit Hole in San Diego is a pretty chill restaurant and bar. I've got about 5 murals there. I've done work with Asahi beer, OCB rolling papers. If anybody out there is likes the green, you might know OCB. So I do all the rolling tray work, and then I'm the cover artist for Herb magazine as well, which goes out to about 16,000 smoke shops every month, or quarterly. It's quarterly rag. And then I've done some record album covers and whatnot. Mainly I tour now around the country, doing all the big Danny Wimmer rock festivals, Rock on the Range, Carolina Rebellion, Welcome to Rockville. Genius Pipe is my sponsor this year. Very, very cool piece of equipment. Very, very beautiful industrial design. So I do a line of pipes for them with my artwork on it. And yeah, any other cool projects that kind of come my way, I never ever have the time, but I try. There we go. So the idea is the honey is kind of pooling down and forming the pinstripes on his suit. So it's all going to be shades of gold and excuse me, maybe I like using teals and greens, kind of a watery effect. That might be the back color for his suit. Purple might be cool, but then it'll just look like the Joker. And for this line, we do, I am doing some characters, obviously, that are non-copyrighted. They're open source or whatnot. And then I will be showing off a lot of my original art, original contact, original characters. You'll get to meet the lovely Vera, and which I'm a big proponent of, just creating your own stuff. The Alice stuff is just pays the rent. Oh wait, mortgage. I own a house now. But yeah. So if you check out SeanDietrichArt.com, you can see a lot of my own original creations as well. And then on my feed, I did upload all the time-lapse videos, so check them out. All right, let's work on a little honeybee over here. I'm tired of Honey Nut Cheerios. I want a dab. There we go. You can hear some of the music in the background. That's some of Sugar's creations. He's got a few new modular synths, new toys to play with. And basically the location we're in too, I just built a brand new 1,300 square foot studio up on the farthest corner of Washington, up by Canada, and it's beautiful, amazing. We're out on a cool little island, and it's a nice big workspace. My wife does a lot of sculpting and whatnot, and then Sugar's going to be producing music, whatever other crazy stuff. We're going to be working on a lot of time-lapse stuff, and eventually that'll parlay into a really cool music project that we have cooking. So the big white wall behind me there is eventually going to be muraled up, and I think we've been kicking around the idea of doing kind of this Friday, Saturday night. You know, he makes music, I do live art, large-scale mural painting. Right now I'm working relatively small compared to what I usually size-wise work on, which is, you know, more, 4x6 canvases, 3x4 canvases. But for the product design, they don't need to be that big, and it allows me to create content a little bit quicker. So, but we have lots of cool stuff coming. Whoever my one viewer is right now, thank you. You are carrying the eternal flame. Let's see, whoops. Just adjust the setting there. Kind of rough in the fur here. Getting some wings out. Maybe an exaggeration of the stinger. There we go. But I like that kind of little elegance. And all the art is, this is all traditional, freehand painting. I don't do anything digital. Me being on the internet is about as digital as you're going to get. So everything that I'm working on, there'll be no touch-ups or anything in the end digital. This is all done with a brush, just little liner brushes for the ink, and then I'll employ some different techniques with brushes, rags, napkins, stripping paint away with water. And it's all acrylic. All the color is acrylic. Hand inking, a dying breed. There we go. A bit more honey dripping down. Absolutely love how this ink flows. I actually don't use black ink at all, or black paint at all. I only use ink because you just can't. I mean, I can use mediums or flow agents or whatnot, but something about the ink just gets into the tooth of the canvas really beautifully, and it just pops. It's a really nice pop to it. Sugar got excited back there for a minute. All right. Okay. Finish up down here. We'll start working on the honeycomb on his head. Showing some lines indicative of a gnarled aging process. All those years of drinking tea. I don't know what the fuck that has to do with getting old, but alright. And I will be posting a streaming schedule once I figure it out. Pretty much paint almost every night, so I don't see why I would be not doing it live online. So I would say probably about between 9 and 10 every night until about 2, 3 in the morning. I can almost guarantee, and then I'll pop on and during any other times that I get an opportunity to sling some ink. It's 11 o'clock now, Pacific time. Very early. actually the first piece I've gotten a chance to work on since I got back from spring tour. Took off in mid-April and did a run across the United States. We're Florida. Well, did a launch party in San Diego at the Rabbit Hole. Then we ended up heading over to Florida for Welcome to Rockville, Carolina Rebellion, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Rock on the Range. So I was there selling some artwork and whatnot. So it was good to be home and back in the studio. The studio was brand new right when I left, so I haven't even had a chance to kind of enjoy the space. That's why there's a large white wall behind me. Still in the process of getting it all up and running when we had to leave. But here till July, and then I'll be taking off on the road again and hitting up Bourbon and Beyond and Louder Than Life, which are two really cool festivals in Louisville, Kentucky. And then I'll be back in Sacramento in October for Aftershock. So, and the idea is show up. If you ever do catch me at these festivals, basically what I do is obviously I have all my wares for sale. I have reproductions of art, original art, and whatnot. But I do live art, so you can actually see the whole process on a much larger scale. My friend Kai Martin and I did a really cool Alice piece last year. It was the Jabberwocky tattooing Alice, and she was actually kind of turning into this gnarled, like, tree-looking thing. Almost looked like Groot with a dress on, but her skin was all being torn off her face, and then we incorporated a bunch of blacklight reactive paint too, so he was tattooing the white rabbit on her, and the only way you could see the tattoo was to hit it with a black light. So I've been experimenting with a lot of invisible blacklight reactive ink, kind of cool shit like that. So, and then I painted these custom bourbon barrels as well, so little 2-liter barrels about yay big, and so I always it's a bourbon festival, the first show, Bourbon and Beyond, so I like to kind of do things that are very specific to the festivals. And so I thought some hand-painted bourbon barrels might be kind of dope. So we did up 2 of those and actually raffled them off. This year I'm going to have a few for sale, as opposed to just giving them away for pouring them out for email addresses. But that's my bread and butter. I love getting out there. I love, selling art directly to the people. I think I don't think there's a better way to do it. Chilling online, I do, social media is all right, but I kind of like the Twitch thing because it's long format and you actually get to hang out and converse, as opposed to just posting something and letting it get lost in the throngs of pictures and shitty videos on Instagram. But yeah, there's nothing like getting out to the festivals and selling artwork. I think most of the artwork I own myself is bought directly from the artist. And yeah, pop on over, check out the website, SeanDietrichArt.com, Instagram, Sean Dietrich, Facebook, Sean Dietrich Art. If you guys have any questions, if you're an aspiring artist, you have any business questions, one thing I do pride myself on is I have quite the passion for the business side of art, which I know is a weird melding of both sides of the brains, one brain. But yeah, I'd be happy to share my insight on how I have been making it as a professional artist for the last 18 years now. No, wait, 13 years I've been, has it been? Who knows? Almost 2 decades professional living off the artwork, so. But I've been self-published since I was 15. Got my first comic book and kind of went from there. Didn't go to art school. Didn't want the debt. I figured if they're going to drop 100 G's, my parents, on a art education, they might as well just give me that money for a marketing budget. You know, I'm a traditional painter, so the more I practice, the better I get. You know, if you're doing animation, whatnot, sure, hop on over to college and, you know, because software and rendering machines and everything you need for that is a bit more expensive, just a little bit, than a paintbrush. So, but for me, I knew I was just gonna use traditional methods. Although I've done some pretty fucked up stuff on stage with mixed media. Pictures of those do exist. Alright, so he is almost ready for color. Got basics, got the ink down, little honeybee hatter, he's got some honeycomb stuck to his hat. This will be a nice patchwork of different colors, plus stripes, polka dots. I'll add a lot of texture into his hat, you know. And then got his crazy looking eye, got his you know, little Cheshire smile kind of reflected in the teacup here that's spilling over. So just doing the balancing act between, you know, and the fact that this is going to be produced for a dab mat, you know, the oil, you know, aspect plus honey and tea. I kind of like the double meaning there. And then, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and erase all the pencil right now, get down to just the ink, and then I'll start dropping some colors in and whatnot, and, you know, be good to go. So, but thanks for the follow there. Sig Art Czar. Sorry if I fucked that up. I appreciate it, and let me find my eraser here. And of course, only the best, PBR. It's how great artwork is created. I knew that was going to be one of my issues here, like, you know, looking really quickly to try and pronounce people's names. So, again, I apologize. And let me know if you guys can hear me okay, or if the music's too loud, or if it's a nice balance or whatnot. So we can always adjust those settings. Thank you. Yeah, I've always, stylistically, I think, you know, incorporating color and the line work, I mean, starting out in comic books, it was basically, actually, it's probably a throwback to my childhood where I'm just like, you know what, I just like coloring books, so how do I start off with a process that makes this just look like one big coloring book page, and then start dropping color in. So a lot of the coloring process and why I start with pencil and then go into ink is also was also created because I did a lot of live art. I've done probably over 4,500 live painting events over the last like 18 years, so trying to keep it interesting for people to watch as they're you know, in the nightclub hanging out or whatnot. If I'm just like kind of noodling around on one little section and the rest of this giant canvas is blank, it's kind of boring. So the idea of doing in, you know, all the pencils, bringing in all the inks, and then start dropping in color, it allows people to kind of see what the finished image is going to be, but at the same time, I'm able to kind of work on one section, and then they're able, you know, check out the whole image. Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, I think I've paid some dues. I'm new to Twitch, not new to art though. But you know, I've been lurking. I've been watching a lot of creative channels and whatnot, and I think Alex Pardee, actually, his channel, when I saw that he was streaming on Twitch, and then I watched a couple of his episodes, I was like, wow, that's like a really cool way to do it. Obviously, I'm going to be painting for hours on end, so I might as well, you know, if I can put it out there to inspire other artists or just entertain people, then it seems like a win-win. Get the rest of this pencil off. And this also allows me to kind of see the line work and make sure that some of it wasn't hiding underneath the pencil, or the pencil wasn't fuzzing out an area that, you know. Yeah, we'll try and keep it interesting. Like I said, we're really going to utilize the studio space here to not just have me live painting, but you know, music production in the background. We'll have some guest artists. There definitely will not be the same boring anime. You know, one of the things that I pride myself on is a lot of the, as you'll see if you follow later on, a lot of the paintings that I'll bring out will actually be like a lot of story driven, a lot of historical aspects to it. There's actually what is it, about 4 feet by 6 foot piece that I'm working on for a buddy of mine right now that I'll stream over the next couple weeks, but it commemorates his grandfather, I believe, who stormed Normandy. So it takes from his time storming the beaches to the Battle of St. Lo, and on into Germany and whatnot. So a commission where I actually had to read an entire book on the 115th, research all the equipment, pull up all the research for the uniforms. I mean, this painting process for this guy's painting has been going on for, a research process, excuse me, has been going on for about 3 years now. So, a lot of the bigger commissions I'm working on right now aren't like overnight, I'll knock this out on a weekend, you know, type deal. I do have some pieces that, you know, that are, you know, driven by a lot of family history and are really important to these people. So, you know, I got to make sure I put the time in to make sure they're done right and they tell the story correctly. So, yeah, the Hatter stuff, the Alice stuff, we're just getting warmed up. This is just some fun shit to do. So we'll start dropping some color in here. Maybe we'll do this Bob Ross style. I'm not going to run the colors at the bottom of the screen, but we're going to drop in some base yellows. I use these very fancy palettes, Chinette. As you'll find too, I use probably the shittiest art supplies on the face of the planet, but it's about what gets the job done, right? Rommel, yeah, I actually have a Tank Girl piece. I don't know if she's up on the website. She's in my new art book, but she's dressed up in Rommel's field gear and whatnot. So, and Bob Ross, yeah, you know, that's how I learned to paint. I was 13, 14 years old when that used to come out on PBS, and shit, man, I've done my time painting oceans and mountains and oils, and you know, I get the guys, yeah, and now he's just like pure Valium, just turn him on and go to sleep. But I love the chat now that he's streaming, now that Bob Ross is streaming on Twitch, or they keep replaying all the old episodes. It's fun to watch the chat go apeshit when he paints a cabin or whatnot. So usually I start with a yellow for a base color, deep yellow. Drop a little of that. Throw on some water. Blue Solo cups, not red, they're a little more high class. They help you paint better. And then where's the big fuckers? There we go. Pull my brushes over here. So, and then also I am going to be using a little bit of this teal as well. So what I'll do, since I know like around the suit area there's going to be some of that teal, I'll just blend in a little bit of color down there. I've got some flesh tone, or a version of flesh tone that I start off for the Hatter. So yeah, it's an 18 by 24 or 16 by 20 canvas. So I've done some painting on board. Obviously I do cool, you know, mixed media stuff like bourbon barrels and whatnot. I have a whole series of toys coming out too, like hand cast resin figures. So my space alien Michelobio, who you'll see if you go to the website, I just did the first cast of him. So I'm starting to get into a little bit like 3D painting, We do all sorts of sculpting with polystyrene here in the studio and whatnot. All that line work is a brush. Yeah, it's this little liner brush right here. It's probably like 5 human hairs or whatnot. But yeah, I grew up kind of admiring the old pinstripe artists too, and just watching their precision with the brush and whatnot. And I've been using that brush since, not that particular brush, but a liner brush like that in ink since I was like 15, and so, you know, but don't have a Kickstarter for the figures. I got a buddy in Los Angeles that does all the casting for me and 3D printing, and so what he does is I'll send him the sketches, the backside, right, left, you know, and view, and then he 3D models it, and then he 3D prints a prototype. They actually make a mold out of that, and then he has a assistant come in and hand pour the resin one. So I ran about 12, 15 of them off, and what I'm going to do is, you know, give me a couple weeks. They'll be up on the website, but they'll be for sale, and whoever buys them, you guys get to pick what the paint job is. So it's an alien and a flying saucer, and so if you want the flying saucer like painted like a General Lee or a blue or red or whatever, Ferrari red, like we can paint whatever you want on it, and then you can have the guy's brain. You know, it's just a big brain with 2 eyeballs, so it can be like a green brain with neon orange eyeballs or whatever. And eventually we'll have a page up on the site that'll, you know, collect all the different figures, you know, and the different paint jobs and whatnot. So, but yeah, it's, you know, a lot of years of brush control, and I just always loved using a brush. I never really got into, I tried digital for a little bit, but I don't know. You don't get dirty enough, in my opinion. I feel weird working on a piece of art for hours and then my hands are clean. It feels wrong. So we'll start by just doing some basic washes. Drop in the base color. I know it'll be darker on the edge here, so I'll go in with a lot more paint. And as you can see, you can go right over this ink. And this has maybe been dry for what, 10 minutes or so. So, you know, and then we can throw in some of that teal down here, just to kind of give a base color for his suit. And we'll come back in with more yellow. And right now it's all about just scrubbing in the color and getting all the white canvas just covered up, so it has a nice base, nice blending, and I'll be able to work this blending into the heavier color that I come in and shade with. So it's almost like a glue, like an underlayment that kind of holds everything together for me. And I'm sure this is in no way, shape, or form innovative, but this is my style. Works for me. And even the teacup, anything that's maybe eventually going to be white, unless it's like just a big fuzzy white bunny in the middle of the page, I tend to cover that up with color too. And that's just because I like to maybe have a little bit of that show through when I go to add the white on top of it, and it kind of gives it that, like, a nice antiquated look. And there we go. There's some colors in there. Why'd you get a timeout? Stream elements timed out. Uh-oh. I got to check and see what the setting was that booted you there, dude. Sorry. Like I said, my very first stream tonight. I will check on that and make sure that doesn't happen. Hopefully it wasn't like a curse word, because I curse like a sailor. All right, so I've had one glitch already.
What was that?
I don't know. This guy's messages all got deleted.
That's crazy.
I don't know. I gotta find out what the setting is. It might just be maybe like the level of I don't know. It's something in the stream elements. I'll fix it though. So we'll mix in a little more of the blue here. Yeah, I mean, I've got the mature rating on my button click, so I don't really care if people curse. I mean, don't tell me to fuck off, but you know what I mean. Alright, let's get a little bit of grit in there. Oh, I think I typed too long of a message. I will adjust that. Wouldn't want people not to be able to write paragraphs of praise for the artwork. Or if we're debating something about art or talking about business, I mean, I know like the questions can get kind of long, so yeah, I'll check on that and make sure that it's not like something where people can't write more than like a tweet worth of content before they get booted. Probably not a good way to make friends. All right, let's go in here, kind of bring it up around his face. We can get his tie. Just keep it nice and light, kind of like the glows coming from his face. I'm all about splashes and drips. Get in there with some extra color. And you'll see too, I'll start to throw some water on there and dab it out to, no pun intended, but strip out some of the color as well. It's basically just just get a little bit of texture in there. It's possible for digital artists to sell limited edition art. You know, if I would say it kind of falls under the realm, like if you do like I've done some copper plate etching where they, where each one you run off a limited edition, you ink up the roller and you run the copper through it and it comes out as a print. And then in the end, after you've done like 100 run or whatnot, you basically take the copper and you scratch it. That way you can't make any more prints. So if you are doing digital art, which, you know, it's almost like photography. It's hard to kind of, like, how do we know that it's limited? So unless there's something out there that, you know, like a certificate of authenticity that says, hey, you know, once I did this art and ran off the prints, I destroyed it or archived it for good, or there's got to be something to document that. You know, because a lot of galleries and a lot of people in the collecting world, that'll just create a skepticism around your art. If you're saying it's like limited edition, but there's no way to kind of tell. I mean, poster prints are one thing. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of people that think digital art's not art. I mean, I went through years where I was kind of like irritated with the whole digital art thing, and for me, it's all about the process. It's, you know, I know artists that build all their own brushes to use in Photoshop, or they, you know, almost like Dave McKean's style from the Sandman, where he photographs a lot of elements and then brings it into Photoshop, puts them together, and then, you know, does some work, you know, some painting in Photoshop or whatnot. So, you know, for me, I it's not my thing because I don't get it. I don't enjoy it. But for those who do it, putting in the time to actually create a piece, I mean, that is art, and you are creating. So, you know, I was thinking of doing printing myself, destroy the file, and any posters would have to be scanned. Yeah, I mean, if it's something, but then you got to think, okay, if I'm going to put the time into creating this piece of digital art, and then what? You know, like I said, maybe it'll be a service down the road, maybe an archive service where you have to sign the file over to them and it's archived in the cloud or something of that nature. I mean, I'm sure something like that's coming to, you know, I mean, at bare minimum, if you're working with a reputable printer that can back you up as far as running off the prints, doing the addition, and then making sure none get run off again, you know, anything you can do to kind of add some credibility to it. Yeah, as far as digital art not being art, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, look at Bob Ross art. I mean, even though he's using paint, like, that guy never sold a painting. He just donated them. And then, I mean, he knew he wasn't, like, the greatest artist in the world, but his thing was just to get people to create. So, and with me, my thoughts are, if I praise anybody who's creating. I mean, if you're doing painting, digital art, if you're painting with the dog shit on the fucking sidewalk out front, whatever. But as long as you're creating and that's your way out and that helps you get through the day and it makes you a better person, then that's awesome. The minute you put a price tag on it, though, then you're competing and you better bring it. And that's where I see the line between, you know, a lot of fan art, too. Like I have since this is my first episode, I'll bring this up. I coined a term about 3 years ago in Australia. I was at the Comic-Con down there. And there's just, at the Comic-Con, you know, you walk in, or if you don't know, you know, there's these giant booths of guys just drawing Spider-Man, Batman, Deadpool, whatever the big hot character is, and selling it, and they don't have the rights to do that. And there's nothing at their booth other than fan art. So it's really hard to be like, wow, like, do I buy something from this guy? I mean, I really like Batman. Do I get something? And I like his style, but there's no legacy there. Like, where do you find, you know, like, the ability to say, yeah, I'm going to buy this guy's art and I'm going to invest in him because he's just ripping people off. I mean, you know, I love fan art. I love doing stuff. But, like, even Alice in Wonderland, I didn't create the Hatter, but at least he's open source. I mean, he's something where this guy's been dead, you know, this is a 150-year-old character. So, and if you do want to do a character and sell it, like, reach out and get the permission from the creator. If you want to do Rick and Morty art, write to Cartoon Network. I mean, if anything, I see it as an opportunity to get that artwork in front of people of Cartoon Network, or maybe even the creators, and who knows, there could be a job that comes out of that or whatnot. But if you want a legacy as an artist and you want to actually, like, you know, be remembered or have a catalog of something that is going to be proud to look at when you're 80, then start creating your own original content. So, and that's the only reason, or the only way to do it, whether it is digital or not. So, yeah, don't trust the printers. Yeah, you do have to find a good one. The guy who prints my all my reproductions on metal, wood, canvas, posters, art posters, he's out of San Diego. He's been printing my stuff for, I think, like, maybe 10 years now. So, you know, I found one and I stuck with him. And now, I mean, I live 1,400 miles away from him now in Washington. I still use him to do a majority of my printing. If it's something, a couple of prints that I need run off, I do have a local shop up here. But other than that, it's, you know, yeah, once you do find a good printer, then, you know, stick with them. So, no matter where you move. All right. And then we'll, let's throw a little flesh tone in here. All right. Yeah, let me, where's that Stream Elements thing? Where's my dashboard? I'm going to take a minute here and see what the problem is with channel.
What's the problem with channel Z?
Yeah, why it keeps timing out people for 30 seconds. Let's see, here's my dashboard. Let's see, streaming tools. All right, here's the auto mod, risky messages. I'm going to take that down to 0. Let's see, moderation. I'll be more quiet. That's all right, dude.
What's that?
All right. And then if I go to channel, yeah, all right, we'll see if I fix that. If not, I will eventually. But all right, so we'll do a little more splatters. Do a little more of that color scrubbed away. There we go. And then I'll start to take just solid color in here. Go on the outline of the suit. So a little bit of blending, and then also starting to kind of bring in the, some definitive areas of where some of the harder lines are going to eventually fall. But I like paintings where it's kind of like everything's, it's got its line work, but also it's, very smoky and just kind of looks like you came out of the mist of Wonderland. So yeah, I know I'm not a partner yet. Literally, this is my first stream. Like, welcome. I just got all, I've spent like the last couple months getting together all the, what I need and kind of, reading all about what to do and watching videos and all that. And then of course, during my first stream, your shit gets deleted. Murphy's Law. Yeah, no, thanks, dude. I appreciate you being here. So, yeah, and I'm hoping so, man. I like I said, I like getting out there and I like being in the public. I mean, I can paint live at these rock shows in front of 150,000 people, and I'm totally comfortable with that. And I think it's a really great way. And if this is that's one weekend, one summer out of the year, and if Twitch is a way people can kind of hop on and get a little more kind of intimate interaction and as far as what I do, or maybe even follow up if they have seen me paint live at a show, then I think this might turn out to be a pretty cool platform for me. So, and I do like the productivity aspect of it. It's like, oh, I'm online, I have to work. Otherwise, I'm on other people's channels playing video games. All right. And then basically I layer it. So I'll strip some color away, and then I'll put in some heavier color, and then I'll layer that, and then strip a little bit of that away. Yeah, I'm good to see the creative, and I'm kind of glad to, I don't know how long it's creative streaming's been going on, but I have heard a lot about how it's growing and definitely needs more content. So I've never really been a part of something like right at the beginning-ish, so it's kind of cool if I can help that out. So there you go, like stuff, yeah, like right around here. This is where the magic happens. I love this technique. Definitely adds a lot of action. So even with just a simple wash and a couple of, areas where we strip some color away, it's it's starting to bring some action in, and I love texture and kind of getting down with stuff that's really going to keep your eye going around the page and really bring him to life. And texture does a lot of that. So we can bring some of that contrasting bluish green, kind of drive it down the canvas here. There we go. All right. And then I like to, as it's darker up here, I'll actually strip the color away when it bleeds into its own. Yeah, I'm happy 2 people are watching. But we'll build it. I'll definitely put the effort into like creating a bunch of cool content and keep regular hours. That has such a day job feel to it. All right, so I need grab my other brushes. And let's see. Just broke open my gear bag from tour, and then besides being full of festival dirt, I figure out what brushes are still usable. So we're gonna go in. Let's see. I'll go a little heavier on the yellow here. And then we can darken up the honeycomb. Okay, blend it out. Just to kind of give it that glow. And just bring that honey right down into the blue. Where'd Sugar go? I need the tunes. He's smoking. my finger for blending quite a bit as well, because why not? All right, little beer break. I think we can drop some yellow on the honeybee. And this will be fun because we'll make him really fuzzy. So we'll go in with like super small brushes and just kind of fuzz everything out and blend it. Let's try that out. Okay. Let's do the pinstripes on the other side. I love the different greens that are formed once this yellow starts working its way into the into that other base color. Excuse my cough. It's a cold been going around. I think I may have picked up on it.
Stars are outrageous out there.
Yeah. Sugar's back. He says the stars are bitching. We do have some cool views up here. Being on a very small island in the Puget Sound. We actually get the northern lights down this far on occasion. And every time they show up, I am out of town. I think we were in Kentucky last year and someone posted a video like, look! And I'm like, fuck off. That's amazing.
That's really early for the Northern Lights to be raging.
September?
Yeah. When I was in North Dakota, I always saw them in like the middle of winter.
Yeah.
Like December, January, February.
Alright, now I can maybe use a smaller brush. Which I did have. Okay.
You got viewers again? You fixed the problem?
I don't know if I fixed the problem, but he's still hanging around, so maybe I should have Cigarzar type in a paragraph and see if he gets booted again. Guinea pig man. Yeah.
Cigarzar.
Yeah.
Where is he?
Where is he? He's up here on the screen.
Where is he? Bizarre.
He or her or. Yeah.
Hungry.
Oh, yeah. It's all good. Okay.
No pesticides used.
On the weed?
Yeah. The middle fork. It actually has a smell today. It's like wine. You need to air it out.
Open it up like a red wine.
Yeah. Because last night, or maybe it was just I was too stuffed up last night. I couldn't smell anything.
Yeah.
That's funny though. They do.
Just darkening up the honey a little bit here before I.
They have art on the package.
Ooh.
It's terrible.
It's terrible art. Oh, that's horseshit.
Sky Standard Garden.
Dallas, Texas. Oh, Dallas, Texas is where he's a cigar czar. Yeah.
Nice.
Did we? No, that was someone else last night in the Dallas area. I was telling him I used to do the Deep Ellum art show. That wasn't you, right? Yeah. But yeah, I love it down there. Black Swan, I believe, is the bar, a little hidden bar I used to drink at. No sign. Just got to pick the right parking lot and know that that's the door you go in. Like the place in Asheville. What was it? The Crow and Quill.
Quill and Crow.
Oh, you used to live down there. Oh, okay. Crow and Quill. Yeah, that was a badass place. Great area. Go down there to photograph. Oh, cool. Professional photographer, hobbyist. Industrial photographer. Sure they have.
Take pictures of big machines.
Take pictures of, yeah, wrecking balls and Euclids. All right. So I'm gonna start scrubbing in a little bit of darker yellow here to kind of pick a light source for this honeybee. I tend to usually light from the right because I'm right-handed. Semi-pro. Cool, man. All right, so let me, I gotta pick some colors here. Let's see. We'll start with the Hatter's hat. Kind of drop that in. Maybe we'll do, ooh, I kind of like, okay. Which means I get paid, but not full-time job. I do corporate headshots. Corporate headshots, there you go, real estate, all the boring stuff. Actually pays. Hot models don't have money. For sure your daddies do. Yeah, right? They sniffs all their money. One second. Let's see here. But I do have one of the finest paint boxes ever. The official PBR lunchbox. No better way to carry your paints around. So let's pull out a series of oranges and maybe a brown or two. I'll get to work on my hatter. And basically now that I have the hat, outlined. I got the base yellow in. I'll start to pick out textures. You can kind of, you might not be able to see it on the camera, but I'll bring it down. But I know there's going to be like some stripes here. And then that'll be very dark. And then kind of like, maybe we'll go diagonal right here just to counter the honey that's dripping down. If I did vertical stripes, they get kind of lost. What else? I think you need some polka dots. Let's see. Just drop a few on there. And then we'll diagonals. And then each one of these will be some variation of orange, brown, whatever scrap fabric he had laying around. You know, we could do a little kind of trippy little wave here. All right. And then, so we'll go to pull another fine palette out. We'll go in with, like I said, I basically just start tossing a couple of different shades of orange. I'll get a brown in there for nice contrast and for a bit of shading. What else? We could bring a red in. Nothing wrong with red. I don't want to do too much though. I want it to kind of have that golden Buddha feel. Oh, that's funny. Cool. That's good to hear. Because I just bought this rig. It's actually, I found it on YouTube. It's a computer monitor that's holding the Canon overhead. So it's the Canon Vixia RF800. I think a lot of the guys use online. So I was wondering if it was too much of an angle, like you can see more when it's like directly flat with the camera or whatnot, but because it is on an angled drawing table. And then the webcam is just the one off my iMac, so I'm able to actually kind of monitor everything and see it. But yeah, I tried to put a lot of thought into the positioning and whatnot. So and then I have a whole different rig. It'll basically just pan over when I do large scale paintings, and then that way it'll be able to capture the full width of, like, say, a 6-foot painting, and then maybe we might even add like a third camera in there, for close up, so I don't have to keep zooming or zooming in and out. But yeah, cool. That's good to hear. I'm glad you're able to see it and all the detail. And, certain areas I can always zoom in, once I start doing the detail work. But, all right.
Pesticides on this one says mint and cinnamon.
They use mint and cinnamon pesticide on your weed? It's pesticide, but it's mint and cinnamon. So that makes it cool.
Like if they use all natural pesticide.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, I mean, mint, yeah. We definitely use mint to keep deer away and rats and...
I'd heard about cinnamon, but I wonder how they use it.
Yeah, I didn't know about cinnamon. Do they make the animal do the cinnamon challenge? Where you put a spoonful of cinnamon in your mouth and try and swallow it?
and then try and whistle?
It just erupts out of people's faces.
Really?
Yeah, the videos are stupid. I'm even admitting I've seen these, but Yeah, it's pretty horrible.
Well, cinnamon, like, as a flavor, like, in an obnoxious amount, is actually kind of awful.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a lighter garnish,
Yeah, like saffron.
like a little
Hair.
yeah. Or like when I was in Australia and had to eat Vegemite for the first time.
You only need
Oh.
one Vegemite.
Well, they're like, you guys just don't do it right, and I'm like, what do you mean? You're like, my hosts were like, yeah, you need like a half a pound of butter, and I'm like, okay, why don't you just eat butter? Why do you even need the Vegemite?
Why not just skip the Vegemite altogether?
Is it like a nutrition thing? Like,
is Vegemite like a fermented food, or what is Vegemite?
Dude, I've been down there and I still have no idea what the fuck it is. It was just awfulness. That's what it was. Yeah. Vegemite is like the demon's broth or the demon's spread.
That might be giving it too much credit.
That might be giving it too much credit. To say that someone in a position of power and actually came up with this shit. Yeah, it was just. It's one of the things. It's like there's so much butter on the toast. It didn't like. Oh, it was edible, but I'm like, if you just take a big bite of Vegemite, it's, dear God. I think it's like pure salt.
But I mean, does it come in a can or?
It's a jar. You've tried it too? Yeah, it's ugh.
Snail.
Caviar?
Caviar.
Yeah, right.
Where it's just like so much salty, like there is no flavor other than like nasty salt.
It's like getting a triple quarter pounder or, supersized fries and then having a Diet Coke with it. There's like so much butter. Like the Diet Coke doesn't do anything. There's no point. Like, just make Vegemite taste better.
This should be a campaign.
That'd be a great campaign. Make Vegemite taste better, or we'll never come to your fucking country again. Yeah, I loved it down there. It was awesome. Yeah, I don't know if it's good for you. I have no clue. I don't know the history of it. It's just one of them things like, hey, have one. The Men at Work sung about it, and then I went down there and had to try it.
I don't think that the whole song that it works on has anything to do with Vegemite other than that one moment.
Just that dude who invites them in and makes them a Vegemite sandwich. Yeah, like. No. I hope they didn't write a whole song about it. That just seems like a fucking waste of time.
When you type in Vegemite, though, what comes up is the third option, Vegemite sandwich song.
That's awesome. All right, here's the magic.
Thick black Australian food spread made from leftover brewer's yeast extract.
Leftover brewer's yeast extract. That sounds absolutely horrible.
Vegetable and spice additive.
Jesus.
Oh, the history of Vegemite.
Here we go. The history of Vegemite. All right.
Oh my God.
It was like a torture device, or?
Vegemite is considered as much a part of Australia's heritage as kangaroos and the Holden car.
Jesus. So let's bring a little of that orange too down here.
A Vegemite sandwich to an Australian kid is the equivalent of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to an American kid, but the taste is quite different.
Yeah, no shit. Peanut butter and jelly tastes good. And then we'll even
oh, well, there you go.
start to throw a little bit of the brown.
Actually a brand name.
It's the Kleenex of weird brewer's yeast spread. Okay.
Who owns the brand?
Philip Morris. Kraft.
Yes, you are right. Philip Morris.
Nice.
Because doesn't Philip Morris own Kraft?
Probably. Good shit. All right.
Okay.
As you can see, I stripped away a little bit of the orange here. Gave it so that's going to give it even more texture on top of just doing the stripes and the polka dots and all that. There you go. And if you get a little smear in your honey, doesn't fucking matter. Still going to look great. Happy accident, Bob. All right. And then we'll go into some darker browns and whatever's left. We'll see what'll make a nice contrast. Yeah, it's acrylic. Yeah, they can be a pain in the ass to work with to begin, but when I did live art, or when I do live art at festivals and whatnot, I need something that dries quick. So busting out the oils is not really productive. But 20 years of using them, we've come to an understanding. So they work well. And layering, all about layering with acrylics. That's why I start off with the base wash and my style in general, just kind of splashy and a lot of grit. It helps it's forgiving. So if I do have to make a change, I can kind of blend it.
Dude, the story of Vegemite is so anticlimactic. I don't even want to read it to you.
I don't want to hear it.
Here, I'll summarize it
Okay.
for you. In 1922, this dude, Fred Walker, he was on a tear to find
brownish red.
The first Vegemite spread.
Okay.
He used brewer's yeast and blended the yeast extract with ingredients like celery, onion, and salt.
Yeah, it's like Old Bay with brewer shit in it.
And it was fairly unsuccessful when they oh, that's right. In 1924, a national competition and a prize of 50 pounds was offered to the winner or winners to name the new product. The name Vegemite was finally chosen.
The end.
And then they changed the name to Parwill after it did very poorly. Then in 1925, Walker's arranged with Kraft to make processed cheese in Australia.
Ooh.
And in 1935, Kraft bought Walker's company.
Oh, they've owned them for a minute.
And then it's been a Kraft company ever since.
Okay.
And at some point in there, they changed the name back to Vegemite from Parwill.
Because they're like, wait, it's not the name, it just sucks. No matter what we call it.
I mean, I think Kraft was like, whatever. You know, Vegemite sounds better than Parwill.
That sounds like a weird British game. Are you up for some Parwill?
Okay, so their marketing ploy in the early 1900s when they changed the name to Parwill, their rival was called Marmite.
Oh, so maybe Vegemite.
Their tagline was, if Marmite, then Parwill.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that's not on par with Don Draper. Like,
Oh my god.
all right, so you can see the texture starting to come through, the shapes, the lines. His hat will have a nice hobo-y feel to it. Nice action. I love how the colors look so, they almost look better on the screen. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers. Is it? Oh, it's Sunday morning already. I get the feeling the streaming thing, like, it's kind of like games, like, hours will just melt away, and then you'll be like, oh, I've been online for 3 weeks, and people are looking for me, and I should probably rejoin society. All right. Okay, I need a brush that works. Let's see. I need a smaller one. Here we go. Okay. So we're gonna go.
Somebody actually says having tasted both spreads, Vegemite is a pale imitation of the original Marmite.
What is a Marmite? Does it have marsupial in it?
No, that's just it's just
No.
it's a yeast.
Like pouched animals beware.
What is it? The yeast extract spread.
Yeah. Just depends what beer they got the extract from. Well, there you go. The screen is emitted light, and a physical drawing is reflected light. I know lots about that from my printing digital. That is a question that I've been pondering for many years now. Like, why sometimes, like, I'm looking at the art, and on the screen it looks, like, incredible. Like, some of the colors, like, pop a lot more. There's just, like, I don't know how to convey what I want to say right now. Sometimes it looks better on a screen. Because sometimes I'll go back to the painting and be like, what? Why does it not look like that to me? Thank you for the follow. Slider Whales. All right. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining. Yeah, okay. Screen makes it look more contrasty. Okay, that makes a bit more sense now. You know, it's definitely, I mean, it's, when I put prints out and I'm like looking at the print versus the original, it's always like, oh, that's why sometimes, I do bring originals out when I do the rock shows, because there really isn't anything like looking at the original. It's definitely, I mean, obviously that's why we go to museums, and I shoot, speaking of the printing process, if you are doing traditional art, I do shoot all my art on the Better Light camera system. 10, 20 grand camera, I don't know, something crazy I can't afford, but my printer has access to one, and so I shoot it. So it takes a pretty ridiculous photo of the artwork, and I think the way it was explained to me is a regular DSLR takes maybe a 33% accurate picture. You're a photographer, maybe you can verify this, but there's a lot more Photoshop work or color correcting that has to be done, whereas the Better Light is like a 95 to 98% accuracy. So there's very little, and it's about $80 to $100 per shot, but it's so worth it. I mean, the first time I had one of my pieces shot on the Better Light, I was blown away, and I haven't shot it on anything else since. And it's funny, you know, when we were on that Vegemite conversation, when I was in Australia, so obviously I wasn't going to ship down a lot of big paintings, um, so I had to find a printer down there and someone to take a shot of the artwork. And we literally 10 minutes from the guy hosting me, his house was one of 4 people in Australia that own this camera. So we were pretty lucky to actually have found someone that could shoot the artwork the way I'm used to it. Otherwise, I don't know if we would have just shipped the originals back, or you know, because the artwork that I produced down there, I kept exclusive to Australia. It's kind of a haha, hey, thanks for having me. So there's no way to get prints unless you buy it from someone in Australia. But I like stuff like that, like rarities and limited edition stuff. Yeah, no, my printer. You can thank my printer for really getting on me about making sure I shoot my art properly and use good paper and make sure it's presented the right way. Um, he's been a good mentor in that aspect for the last 10 years. All right, so we're dropping in stripes. We got circles. Got all sorts of cool stuff going on. Let's get into this orange. I haven't used it yet. And I can't wait to get back to the ink. As much as I love dropping the color in, it really my favorite part of the painting is like the end when I'm just redoing all the line work and adding all the additional textures, and I love that ink. That Holbein. I'll have to put it in the gear I use section or whatever once I get that up, which will be great. It'll be like crappy Chinette palettes and shitty brushes, and then ink that's $20 an ounce. So, certain things I won't budge on, but you know, brushes too. I mean, people use 30, 40, 50, $100 brushes, but I do so much like dry brushing on the canvas, it just destroys them. And I mean, I've actually invested in a nice set of brushes before, and I destroyed those in less than a month. So I'm like, okay, I'll buy in bulk from Michaels, and as long as the hair is not falling out on the canvas, then that's okay by me. Yeah, the whole photography thing is like, I mean, that's, you know, it's kind of like people ask me, first question usually is like, do you tattoo? And I'm like, that's a whole nother world. You know, that's a whole nother skill set. That's just because I can, you know, I mean, people have said like, oh, well, you can draw, you can tattoo. And I'm like, I don't really believe that. You know, it still takes time to learn the gun and the medium and working on flesh, you know, and hanging out with someone for that long. So let's get a little, strip some of this color away. All right, I'm up to 3 viewers. Woohoo! Thank you guys. Appreciate you hanging out and helping me kick off this stream. There we go.
So Obama had something to say about Vegemite.
Obama likes Vegemite?
No, he's horrible.
Yeah. One thing Democrats and Republicans can agree on: Vegemite sucks ass. That's where. I should ship a case of that shit to every senator, and we'll start to make some progress. Did you guys get that shit in the mail? Yeah.
Yeah.
We got it worked. I got it. All right, let's get a little shading going on up around the honeycomb here.
Yeah, so
Start adding depth to make it look like these patches are on top of one another.
here it is.
Okay.
President Barack Obama, in response to a question in March 2011 during a joint visit with Australian Prime Minister Julia Gillard to a high school in Virginia, gave his impression of Vegemite by stating, "It's horrible." Following a description by Gillard, he also said, "So it's like a quasi-vegetable byproduct paste that you smear on your toast for breakfast. Sounds good, doesn't it?"
Jesus. Yeah, and that was, I'll tell you, it's amazing because that was the only bad meal I had in Australia. The food is exceptional. Elevated living, I mean, it's great. $22 minimum wage or something crazy, but Vegemite just,
it's not at the top of the list.
That would have been, you would have gotten the 4 and 4.9. You would have gotten that. You would have gotten that 5th star.
Well, after reading the description of what it actually is, like, basically,
right.
the same flavor as beef bouillon, and I wouldn't want to eat beef bouillon straight up either.
No.
Like, you use that in the thing.
That's a good point. Beef bouillon, yeah, I wouldn't just, pop a couple of those in water over ice and the bouillon cocktail. It's fucking nasty. All right. I feel like I need a higher contrast color in the middle there. You know what? Okay. I think that yellow will do. And then maybe some brown polka dots. Maybe brown and orange polka dots. I mean, it's early. We could get crazy. It's all about like the 70s funk palette. Basically looked up like what were the color choices of like clothing my parents dressed me in the 70s. Mustard yellow, shit brown, pale blue. When I do events, do you have your own line work or pencil already done? It varies. Sometimes I do. If it's a larger scale piece and I have a certain amount of time to finish, then I will probably have the line work done beforehand. That Alice in Wonderland piece I was talking about earlier about the Jabberwocky tattooing Alice, she was completely freehand. And that was a collaboration with another artist too, Kai Martin. So we just kind of went at it and had a very loose sketch. We were just basically like, Alice is going to be floating here, and then the Jabberwocky's behind her. Go for it. So yeah, it definitely varies. Sometimes I'll use audience participation, so I'll just show up and as far as trying to keep my mind sharp as well. I mean, a lot of times I'll just there was a week I did in San Francisco in particular because I about 4 or 5 really cool paintings that I really liked came out of it. So, but I basically each night at each different nightclub, I just walked up and just whatever hit me. I was like, okay, or I'd be like, tell the audience like, give me 3 words, and then I just like mishmashed them into a painting. So, yeah, it varies. A lot of the pinup work, I do a lot of World War II pinup work. I use a lot of referencing for the models and whatnot. That I almost 100% sketch that out first, just so, I get the anatomy right and all that. I'm not as good as, say, like a comic book artist that can just, like, draw these crazy women just right off the bat. I do depend on some pretty cool stock image photographers on DeviantArt in particular. There's a couple that I use that shoot action poses, and then, I'll just adapt them, and they're cool. Obviously it's all open source or royalty free, and I make sure I credit them. But yeah, sometimes if it's like weird characters or whatever, it's just yeah, whatever. I'll just go up and start throwing shit on the canvas, and most people are just like, I don't care. It's a dude painting. I'm happy with that. And then it'll, through conversation or people coming up and saying, hey, you know what I think, that looks like, or the whole painting might change. So that's the beauty of it. But yeah, next time I'll have that. You can kind of see that tapestry behind me, the yellow one, and it's got the girl's leg. That was actually a really cool pose that the girl had shot. I'll have that hung up next time on the wall. It's called Grind Rod. You can actually see it on my website. But yeah, that's an example of one of the ones where I've used stock photographer. Get bored watching reference work being done. Yeah. Yeah, I want to make sure that like the art I do on here will be like if I do one of the paint one of the pinup girls on Twitch, it'll definitely be a one that's already fleshed out. So, if I'm online, it's going to be I want people to see the whole technique in all its glory. So, not to say like if I hop on an off night and just want to sketch or doodle or just do some retarded shit, but that might happen too, and probably will. There's probably a 100% chance that'll happen. And so basically just dropping these circles in, I don't really concern myself with just making sure it looks like a circle. All the rest of the detail work, if it comes out on the edge or whatnot, will be taken care of with all the ink work at the end. So that's how pretty intense and how much the paintings I do depend on the ink work at the final stage. This is Santa Fe, walking down Canyon Road, art area, takes over photos and music. Oh, cool. Yeah, and especially if you're a photographer, man, and you can take your own reference photos. I mean, that's even better. Because you have the eye for it. Me, I just take a bunch of goofy pictures on vacation, and one of them turns out cool. There we go. All right. Art area. Yeah, I kind of figured. All right. So let's go. Okay. Let's put another layer of brown in there. A little more shadow up underneath this one. And then we can actually stand to put some brown here. All right, starting to look crazier and crazier. Let's see. What is this color? It's like salmon. It's like one of those weird business person T-shirts. I have a salmon polo. Do you have a salmon polo? Oops. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I haven't been to Santa Fe yet. I've driven through it, but I've done some shows in Albuquerque. And I know Santa Fe is like the actual, like, like main art area in New Mexico, I think, and at least that's what everybody's told me. I just went to Asheville, North Carolina, which is a big art hub on the East Coast, and man, there are some places there that are absolutely insane. They have a whole art district where they just let all these graffiti artists come in and just deck out the walls, just thousands of murals, and then they're going through and preserving them as they gentrify the area and turn all these buildings with all this beautiful graffiti work into like breweries and condos and whatnot. So I mean, a lot of hipster shit, but the fact that they let them come in and do all that work was pretty outstanding and very cool of the town. Okay. Darken up a few more areas. Excuse me. So just darkening in the kind of the honeycomb that's like on the back side of his hat. I don't want to put it completely black, so I'll give it like a like kind of see-through amberish color. Tapping it in, so make sure it's got that texture. All right. So let's get this last little bit on his hat. This would be the new Honey Nut Cheerios box. That would be awesome. Let's put some more red. All right. Red. All right. Let's see. And we'll take that same red it in with a little of this orange. I'm gonna blood orange, a blood orange. It's like a big coloring book. All right. Looks good on camera. All right. Can't wait to get down to these greens. Hat looks super neon on my my OBS display. It's funny.
Videos of monkeys taking people out. Like fucking them up. Oh, wherever the fuck that is hilarious.
Oh yeah, you don't fuck with monkeys.
Just like out of the blue, like running up and just knocking people out. That shit's fucking awesome.
A little shadow on this honey, and then just fade. And yes, I make a few sound effects when I draw. Why not? Why not? Kind of tilt this a little ways. I like the delay on the screen, like in the corner of my eye, I'll see my canvas move. Fuck's touching my art. There we go. All right. I'm going to hold off on the honeycomb itself for a minute. Let me start working on the bee. And find a much smaller brush. Sugar's still watching videos of monkeys taking people out.
It's a picture of Mary. It says 2,000 years ago, God impregnated me without my consent. Hashtag me.
Me too. Oh, that's great. Wow. All right. So we got a couple people watching. Welcome. First night for me streaming. Feel free to check out Instagram, Facebook website. See a bunch more, or a bunch of my actual finished artwork. And then I should be on thinking 9, 10 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then during the weekend, kind of whenever, maybe some extended streams. But I'm out here anyway painting most nights, so. And then I'll post a specific tour schedule when I'm on the road, starting mid-August. So I'll try and figure out how to do some cool streams while on the road. Sometimes it can be tough with the internet. It's almost impossible at the rock shows to do any kind of streaming just because of it's all cellular. So like I'm there with 150,000 people on their phones. So I can barely run a credit card, let alone stream. But I will see what I can do. So hat, honeycomb, a little bit of shading on the honeycomb. What? Oh shit. All right. Well, I'm going to call it for now. I have to step away for a minute. But thank you for whoever's tuned in. I might actually hop back on here in the next half hour or so, but I just have something to take care of. And I appreciate the follows that I got. And I will see you guys next time. All right. Cheers.